How we apply instructional rounds at Sekolah Bogor Raya, a National Plus school. This classroom looks very similar to any other National Plus classroom, except there are a few more teachers than you'd normally see in a class. In fact, there are around 6 of them. They're participating in something called instructional rounds. These teachers are not leading the class, but in fact they're observing. They are making notes, specific, fine-grained, detailed, fact-based notes about everything they see and hear in the classroom. Each of the teachers has been given a specific thing to look for. One of the teachers might be looking at the questions that the lead teacher is asking to the class. One of the teachers might be observing exactly what the students are writing in their books. One of the observers might be focusing on the classroom decorations or another point of interest. Earlier today, before these observers went into the class, they had a meeting with the leader of the Instructional Rounds group, who explained to them the process for how the instructional rounds should be conducted. The rules for the observation are very clear. All of the observations that the team must make as they are observing must be based on fact. They must be based on clear observations that they have made. So, for example, the teachers are not allowed to make an observation that they thought that the instruction was good or that the students were interested, but actually they have to be very specific. They have to say how many of the students were looking up at a certain time, or how many of the students were writing down the correct answer at the same time. They're not allowed to make any assumptions. They have to base everything they observe on fact.
And then
Their observations must also be
student
student-focused.
like
So rather than focusing on everything the teacher says or does during the lesson, they should be focusing on exactly what the students are doing and specifically what the students are learning at any stage of the class.
So
The observers may
after that,
also,
what
during their
will
observation, sit
we
down
just
and
color
actually
or
ask the students
color it.
questions to find out how they're learning.
They miss
The important
to
thing is
recheck
that they
it
don't
first.
ask the students,
So
what are
they
you
do
doing?
the habit
But in
of
fact, they should ask the
doing
students,
that,
what do you learn?
making the formula without looking at the answer.
After
So
the
they,
observation
and then
comes the
from that
most
class,
important
they're doing
stage of the instructional rounds process, which is an open discussion between all the observers to talk through exactly what they saw in the class and then move on to making some assumptions as to what they can learn about teaching and learning from what they saw during the class they observed.
The rest were conducted by students. And she stopped quite a long time at Zach's table because Zach seemed to be confused. And then again I saw her giving instruction how to do that, and then there was a kid interrupted and she was back. She went to that kid and gave him some help, and after that she went back to Zach. Zach still was not able to do the work.
So you have to do it by yourself.
In the high school, Ibu Arning's physics class is also being visited by an instructional rounds group from the high school. Again, this group are discussing with students what they're learning and making observations about the students' work they see.
Equals to 0.0.5. Okay. Should we start with what we saw in the classroom, or we observed in the classroom? Okay, we'll take turn to.
Again, the most important part of the process is the post-instructional rounds discussion between the observers.
It was like too noisy in the beginning, and I saw two girls work together while the student had been instructed to work individually, and the teachers didn't remind them, and the discussion were quite in order. It's very good. And the teacher also delivered individual questions among students. It's very good.
Sweet disability. Alright, I actually have 12 pages here, but I would just summarize what's the general observation I had. The teacher actually is overshadowing.
Generally, the teacher's feedback from participating on the instructional rounds has been very positive.
Very soft, and then she would repeat. It's like echoing, so it's actually coming from her.
I learned a lot of things. The first thing is that when you see people do a teaching, you also reflect of what your teaching is. And also that because if it is an instructional round, you don't judge people. And I have to admit that sometimes I am judgmental, so right now I can be more objective. So write down everything and then do the analysis later on, what is supposed to be done or what is not supposed to be done over there.
Okay.
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit, because when we walked in, the students will directly looking at us and then stop for a while from whatever they're doing and they do their job again. So they say it's okay, but then we go to them one by one and I sit next to them. They became a little bit nervous, and then because we didn't do anything, so they will do their work right away. So I think it's only distract them for the first time when we came in, and then I don't know when we're leaving, they're looking at us or not. Only for the first time when we came, and they're distracted a little bit.
For us to remember about the benefits of having peer teaching, I agree that completely. And then about supervising the kids when they are working, we can even give feedbacks on the process of producing things. So we could even ask questions to the kids about what they are doing, what they are going to, so what products they are going to have, and then what the expectations of the learning. So we should we should be aware of their understanding during the process of learning.
Yes, a lot, because I actually saw some things there that, like for example, some errors that I actually saw that I should make sure that I'm not gonna do it, okay? And there are also things that the strength of the teacher that I saw that I should be applying.